yay! I've succeeded. I'm actually really happy. It's my final day of a Learn to Swim program for adult beginners. And I went over the blue line, so that was a mini celebration when I saw the flags. I was like, yes! When I started the week, I couldn't swim at all. I was scared to even get in the water. But today, I've made a breakthrough. I'm feeling so many different emotions. I have like the biggest smile on my face. This is episode 3 of Sink or Swim, a podcast about learning to swim over one super hot Sydney summer. But this hasn't been the perfect sun-kissed Aussie summer for many of us.
I literally do nothing in the summer. I stay inside my house. It's unbearable outside.
We had to book a motel for a couple of nights, and that's a lot of money just to cool down.
It's a picture of an Australian summer that looks nothing like the tourism ads.
What do? You can't send 200,000 people into a Big W or into a Westfield shopping centre. That's just not going to work.
This podcast is set in my home, the Western Sydney local government area of Blacktown, over the 2023-24 summer. We're on track to become one of the hottest places in the world. It's a window into our climate-changing future. So, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive?
It's not just a building with aircon. It's a model that's about building community connection.
I'm Angelica Salakis. This is the final episode in our 3-part series. Just a few weeks ago, at the start of the summer, I couldn't swim. I set myself an ambitious goal of swimming 50 metres. If I don't achieve it, hey, that's okay. I didn't quite make it that far. And then I stopped breathing and I stood back up. I did swim 10 metres though, in a slightly clumsy, side-breathing freestyle kind of stroke. It was the first time I've ever felt like I was swimming. It felt like a real triumph to me. And it gave me a taste of how much fun it is to actually be in the water. I actually feel more confident in swimming amongst people. Probably the unexpected goal of this whole week.
But I hope to see you guys in the future. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Even though I've only known my classmates for a week, I feel so proud of them. All of us have made progress. No one is using the boards anymore. Some people still need help from Alina, and we're only in waist-deep water. But everyone is way more confident. I should come tomorrow and just do it by myself. I think at the start of the week I thought, oh, this is enough. But no, I actually just want to keep doing this. I can finally go swimming with my husband, Daniel.
3, 4, 5, 6. 6 strokes. Angelica Thorpe.
Probably a lot less complicated name than mine. I'm not an Olympian or anything. My feet are still gripping to the bottom of the pool, but I do feel comfortable in the water now. And I actually like it in here.
Focus.
So it's not giving an 8 out of 10.
Hey?
It's not giving an 8 out of 10, it's giving...
Well, you're swimming now.
Giving...
6.5.
Oh my god, okay, fine.
No, but I think
The other thing I learnt from this is that being an adult who can't swim is actually really common. I don't think I needed to be as embarrassed. I've also met someone who took their first step in the pool as an adult.
My name is Maryam Zahid, and I am the founder and director of Afghan Women on the Move.
It's a community of Afghan and other newly arrived women learning skills to survive and thrive in Australia, like swimming.
In Afghanistan, women are not allowed to go swimming. We don't have oceans. We don't have those places for women to go.
Like me, Maryam couldn't swim for most of her adult life.
I missed on it. I never had it. My mom came when she was 45, and 20 years in Australia still can't swim. So I said, if I'm learning, why not another woman? So I said, I'm going to teach them. I blame myself as well because I come from a very open-minded family. My husband will never say that, why are you going swimming? But it's just the culture of how I brought up. Oh, if I have time, I'll go and check on my mom. I have time, I'll go and cook, I clean. So it's not that, oh, I have this time. How about I go swimming? That's not in our community. Nah, this is not. Women don't get me time. It's very westernized, white culture me time.
Maryam and her group of women have claimed that time for themselves and for each other.
So now we have graduate 100 women with basic swimming skills from our swimming lessons. I have so many good stories about our swimming lessons that women become a different person when they are in the water. As soon as they get out of the water, they change.
I know what Maryam means. I've changed too. Sarah Malik, who gave me a pep talk in episode 1, had the same experience.
Oh, why can't I just swim? In the beginning, it's just like, why can't I just, dive in and just be like a fish? You're learning to swim and then you get like that brusque white guy who is like sailing past you in the lane and just tells you to like go off to the slower lane, because you're getting in the way. And there's something that makes you feel like, oh, maybe they're just better at this or superior than me. Maybe it's something about me. And then when you start actually going through the drills and the practice and the training, you realize it's just the structure. It's just the culture around you that you didn't have to support you, And so much of that also made me realize in other parts of my life where I felt like, oh, maybe it's like my lack of something. You realize, oh, that's all the things that I require. Like, it's not a magic trick. It's just hard work.
I'm not scared of hard work, but I don't like failing. But was it really me who failed by not learning how to swim until now?
Part of my journey in swimming was recognizing that it wasn't me or a failure in me. There were all these structural issues as well around my access to water. And so a lot of overcoming that for me was, how can I build a safe community and a safe space for myself within this? Because it's too easy to often put the burden on the individual.
And it wasn't my mum's fault that I couldn't swim either.
You can't think of one issue in isolation with the other. You can't think of this swimming in isolation, because if there's one situation, there must be other situation,
What I thought was my personal failing, what my mum thought was hers, it's actually bigger than us. I'm surprised it took a whole podcast series for us to make that realization. In some communities, learning and teaching swimming is second nature. It's valued and supported. Kids head to the local beach for nippers on the weekend. The public school is just down the road from the public pool. But for other communities, like mine, just finding one free Learn to Swim course feels like a chance of a lifetime. I'm also coming to understand that what I saw as a personal achievement, learning to swim those precious 10 meters, was actually a shared one. My classmates and my teacher and I, we did it together. And learning to swim is even more important now that summers are getting hotter and hotter. The water offers us a perfect way to stay cool. This is especially true in Western Sydney. But why is it getting so much hotter here?
The urban heat island effect was first discovered about 220 years ago in London, where a meteorologist measured air temperature inside London and then measured it outside London, and found that nearly all the time, and particularly during the night, outside London was much cooler than inside London.
That's Sebastian Fouch, an urban planning expert and heat researcher at Western Sydney University, who we spoke to in episode 2.
The urban heat island effect itself is simply the consequence of having higher thermal mass, more human activity, and less green infrastructure and open space in cities compared to nearby reference sites that are vegetated.
That's exactly what I see around where I live. Housing estates are built really quickly, And half the time it feels like developers don't even bother planting trees. I see way more grey than green.
You can think of it like areas with lots of concrete that absorbs heat and radiates it back out. Dark surfaces or black roofs that attract the heat. Treeless streets, so there's no shade and no evaporative cooling that comes with trees. And so those areas can be up to 15 degrees hotter than cooler parts of the city.
This is Emma Bacon, the founder and executive director of Sweltering Cities, an organisation campaigning for better responses to heat. Emma says Western Sydney has taken the idea of an urban heat island to a whole new level.
Western Sydney is actually a urban heat continent, which is what we call it when there's lots of heat islands together and are connected.
I made a TikTok video that went viral overnight. I remember waking up and being like, wow, this is crazy. People actually care about this.
This is urban planner Sam Austin.
I grew up in Western Sydney. Things just seem to just exponentially going faster and faster out west, which they are at the moment. Just seeing these patterns going on and just thinking, wow, we really need to get on top of this.
And this is his TikTok video. It shows a neighbourhood with a lot of houses with black roofs, a lot of asphalt, and not a lot of trees.
6 months' time, this will be the hottest place on Earth. This is Marsden Park, located in Western Sydney. No, that is not an exaggeration. Suburbs like Marsden Park have helped create urban heat islands that exceed 50 degrees.
Sam's TikTok got millions of views, shares, and comments. It made me realise how concerned and engaged the community already is. Most of us know it's getting hotter out west, but not this hot. Or why?
What makes these so hot? Houses. Specifically, these brand new identical houses being built across the country. Most of these homes will have black roofs. They'll have a tiny yard with no space for a tree. Street verges are too small for a mature tree to grow. The roads are black asphalt. And this goes on and on for miles. There were so many people commenting saying, I had no idea this was a problem in my suburb. You know, so many people saying, oh my God, I just moved here. I've just bought a house. Wow, I didn't realize this had such a measurable impact on my lifestyle, and it's going to have such a huge impact on my energy use and my energy bills and my costs. People trying to leave their house and trying to say that literally do nothing in the summer. I stay inside my house. It's unbearable outside. There's people talking about how they burnt their feet stepping out on the tarmac during the day.
What do we do in this whole time where it's only getting hotter? It's really crazy.
This is Professor Sebastian Fauch again.
Who on earth will move into a place where you have 60 or 80 days above 35 degrees every summer? Who are the people buying these homes in the future when it's even hotter in Western Sydney? I'm really afraid for the future when we do see heat waves that last for 9 or 10 days. Think about only one day blackout in these extreme heat events where then the people sit in their hot boxes and they can't even have mechanical or air-conditioned means because there's just no electricity to power any of the coolings. You're just making the problem worse and worse and worse. What do? You can't send 200,000 people into a Big W or into a Westfield shopping centre. That's just not going to work.
But that is what's happening now for many people here in Blacktown. One of the only places to go on a really hot day is the shopping centre.
Fortunately, the Kmart here in Blacktown is 24 hours, 7 days a week. So you'd see people there at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, and people are just shopping around and just keeping cool because they can't stay in their own homes at night because it's too hot. It's a bit chaotic.
This is Ian Epongilan. He's part of Voices for Power, a Western Sydney collective trying to help people deal with climate change.
I've gone to the local shopping centre or to places where there is air conditioning, where the cost of using my own air conditioning unit can be quite expensive, and the bills each year continue to increase. So it's the same thing with a lot of families here in Western Sydney experiencing the same hardships of cost of living and finding ways to keep cool in the summer.
The car park is horrific at West Point. I'm going to use the Kmart car park, but I do not want to go into West Point.
You think, oh, that's the solution, to go to the shopping center and escape the heat. But then everyone else is thinking the same solution as well. So it's a bit of a chaos at the same time, where everyone's now at the shopping center and you see lots of families. It's noisy, it's everything.
It's a mall. You shouldn't have to go to a mall to keep cool.
We've spoken to council about creating spaces where the community feels safe to go to. They know these places already, and at the same time, they can reprieve from the heat.
Ian has also volunteered his church space in Blacktown as a cool refuge for the summer. It's one of a series of cool refuges organised by Blacktown City Council. A community space, not a commercial space.
A couple of years ago, actually, it was really hot at my place and we had to book a motel for a couple of nights, and that's a lot of money just to cool down.
It was predicted to be a hot day, so early in the morning we headed to the library, and then as it started to get hot, we came down here, and it's really cool. This is the first time we've come down here, and it's lovely and cool.
I've headed to one of the cool refuges in Blacktown, and I'm chatting with Fazana, Simone and their kids.
It gets really hot. Like, even if you're in a house, that's what I was telling to Simone, that even if I put my aircon on, it just looks like I haven't turned the aircon on, and it gets hot, like a lot. It's still hot, like I go up to 18, that's the highest it can go to.
Just sitting here, meeting new people, having some lunch. Little ones are doing some puzzles and waiting for a movie, and then we have a little snack and then go home later on.
Our approach to a cool centre, it's not just a building with aircon.
This is Angela Van Dyke, CEO of the Riverstone Neighbourhood Centre, another place that has volunteered to run a cool refuge this summer.
And if we think about resilience with all the disasters that we've had, COVID, floods, heat, bushfires, what makes a community resilient is its connection to each other and knowing who you trust and where to turn for help. What we see as a community centre over many decades in this work, we build community resilience by building the relationships with people outside of disaster. Trust is key. It's very hard to build trust when you're in the midst of some major catastrophe. Our cool centre here in Blacktown City is actually a model that's about building community connection.
With me before, I wasn't so confident about coming here. I just stayed at home and did my own thing. But now I've been coming here for a couple of years. It's really good. No matter what nationality you are, they all help you in any way, and yeah.
Everyone is welcome, and we try to set the cool centre up to meet the needs of different ages of people.
My favourite part is making new friends and staying cool on a hot summer day.
So there's activities for younger children, there's space for adults, sometimes there might be a bit of a movie running, and we try to put the resources in there to make sure that it's like being at home.
The number one thing is we have to ask people what they need.
This is Emma Bacon again from Sweltering Cities. They also run an annual summer survey to gather data on health risks caused by rising temperatures and to hear what communities want.
When we surveyed thousands of people and hundreds of people across Western Sydney, we found that a lot of people were saying that on hot days, they couldn't even leave the house. They're walking down hot streets, having to wait at unsheltered bus stops. We've measured temperatures on a day of just 30 degrees, over 60 degrees on the road in front of a bus stop. You've got the heat coming from below, you've got the heat coming from above, you've got infrequent services and no information about when the next bus is going to come. It's a real disincentive for people who rely on public transport or for people to make the switch to catch buses instead of driving. And when we thought about this and we talked to people, there's just such a simple solution. Have great bus shelters. Like, one of the big problems is that lots of the heatwave responses are devised by people who are well-intentioned but don't necessarily understand what it's like for people who don't have the resources to keep cool. And I've heard so many different ideas, things like, why don't we have vouchers to go to the cinema for everyone with a concession card on a hot day? I was talking to some people who live in public housing the other day about what they need in a cool, safe space. And we were thinking cold water, showers, entertainment, things like that. They said to me, we need like somewhere to have a cup of tea or coffee, and we'd like to have friends to talk to. That wasn't at the top of my list when it came to like cool, safe spaces during a heat wave, but that was a number one thing that they wanted.
I'm realizing we need to come together to survive the heat. We can't do it alone. But what are the solutions?
When you give people a positive vision of their community, they want to be involved and they want to be excited about it. Instead of telling people they live in an area that's going to be unlivable, the solution is for people to come together to make sure that we can be building those more sustainable cities with policies that put people at the centre rather than the profit of developers or others.
The summer is almost over now. Like every summer, this one was hotter than the last. It's going to keep getting hotter each year. We are coming up with our own solutions to cope. But we can't just pick up shovels and dig ourselves a new pool or a new park. And we can't always choose where we live. There are real barriers, structural, physical, economic, standing in the way of Western Sydney being a place where people can thrive in a heating world. Thinking back to the swimming festival at the Mount Druitt Public Pool, we were able to stay cool and connected. There was no cost barrier, the event was free, there were no fast lanes or slow lanes in the pool. Everyone was just in the water, wearing whatever they were comfortable in, and enjoying a shared space. There was a jumping castle and a slide for kids who couldn't swim, and a burst water pipe for them to splash in. And there was a familiar face of a snow cone man who has worked around Blacktown for 40 years. It was the image of an Australian summer that I'd like to see in the tourism ads. For now, I'm just relishing the last few weeks of warm weather to enjoy what I witnessed with envy from the sidelines that day at Mount Druitt. The freedom of floating confidently in the water, in the company of people I love. If I imagine the classic Australian concrete and tile public pool, and I picture myself on the starting blocks back at that swimming carnival in Year 7, in a way, it's a false image. We are not all at the same jumping off point. And once in the water, some of us can't even float, while others are buoyed up by things we can't see. We either sink or swim. So what's this?
We went about probably 10, 12 metres.
10 metres, that's all I need, 10 metres. Wait, you said 12 metres?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a little bit more than what I did last time.
Probably have time for one more.
Be quick, ready? 3, 2,
Yeah,
1.
quick.
Remember how I said I almost missed out on the free swimming class? Well, obviously we need more of them. It's not just Natalie or my sister Shania. I know there are many more people in my neighbourhood who want to learn how to swim. We don't want to see any more headlines about people drowning. So I'm trying to convince Blacktown City Council to put on more free adult swimming lessons. Want to help me? Go to our website impactstudios.edu.au/sink or swim and join my campaign.
Before she even blows, let me just put this out there. She'll blow. You'll see Angelica, she's good at so many things. You guys are not ready. So guess what? This is one of them. Stay tuned and follow her. But don't follow too close, otherwise you get blinded. Okay? Period.
It's a wrap. I'll end it there. This is Sink or Swim, an Impact Studios production. This podcast was made on Darug and Gadigal lands. It was written and produced by me, Angelica Ojinaka-Salakis, and Britta Jorgensen. Audio editing by Britta Jorgensen and Celine Teo-Blocky. Additional support from Jane Curtis and Tamsin Peach. The executive producers are Olivia Rosenman and Sarah Gilbert. Sound design by Melissa May. The theme song is by Friday. Podcast artwork and graphic design by Alexandra Morris. Research by Jackie May. Sink or Swim is part of a place-based audio project called Welcome to Blacktown, supported by the Paul Ramsay Foundation. If you want to know more, visit our website www.impactstudios.edu.au/sink or swim.